Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. Ready. Where today we thought we'd talk about one of the big changes in 4th edition. We've been talking about a lot of big changes in 4th edition.
Yes.
We talked about the underdog. We talked about the way battle tactics are and the double turn. But this week I thought we'd talk about manifestations.
Yes.
So Drake, how are manifestations different now than in 3rd edition?
You can just pick 3 and they don't cost points and you can cast them whenever you like.
Yes. Now, the 3 you pick have to be from a certain lore, right? So you can't just pick your 3 favorite. It has to be either from your faction's lore, or if you have some of the Forbidden Power. Is that what they were? Forbidden Power? Anyway, the generic ones, they come in packages of 3, except for one that has 4 in it. And then you can pick, one of those packages. But they don't cost points.
Yeah.
Right? In 3rd edition, you had to pay points for every spell. Now, you just get them. And so the question becomes, is this a good thing for the game or a bad thing?
No.
You think it's a good thing?
Yes.
Why is that?
It's good because things like Tzeentch, in 3rd edition, they were losing about 100 points to having the endless spells they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Now they just can have them, and they're happy.
Well, that's true, but I think one thing let me ask you a couple of questions here. In order to cast your endless spells, what do you need? Wizards. So that means every player basically needs to bring a wizard if they want to benefit from that. And if they don't bring a wizard, they don't get endless spells, something that everybody else gets for free. So you're really handicapping yourself. So it means basically in every list, you're forced to bring a wizard. Is that a good thing?
I don't know, because I think a couple of lists I just never use them, and I still do great.
So that's another thing. I think we can talk about that in a minute, how useful they are in casual play. In tournaments, people do all kinds of weird stuff with them and use them to zone out places. We're not up on the most tournament edgy, sweaty lists.
Nope.
Right? But for casual play, sometimes we'll see one. Yeah, sometimes. Not every game.
From him.
Yeah, usually I'm the one casting them.
I'm too busy casting my buffs.
I think you cast one time.
Before I realized I could cast buffs.
Yeah, before you could get your other spells. So I try to get out at least one. But and I do like them. They're like a free unit, right? 0-point unit. You get out there. All you're giving up is one cast. But I do think it basically forces you to bring a wizard.
Yeah.
Or if you're like Khorne, you have priests that can do the endless spells, right? So then you bring your priests. So I think every faction is pretty happy with it, except Caradron.
They have the spell in a bottle.
I don't know if they still have. I'd have to look. They still have the spell in a bottle.
They do still have a spell in a bottle.
But they don't have wizards, and they don't have
priests.
They
have nothing magical. Well, oh no, I forgot. We don't do specific Sky Cities anymore. Because I was gonna say just bring a whole bunch of guys from the one guys that like priests.
Oh, Brock Thring or whatever they were. Yeah.
The stupid ones.
Yeah, they don't have those kinds of things anymore.
Sad.
So anyway, the fact that you have to bring a wizard doesn't really bother me. I don't tend to, unless I'm playing Tzeentch or something like that, I don't tend to play super magic heavy armies.
There's actually...
but I do like to have a caster. I do like somebody that's going to be there to unbind my opponent's horse spell. And then since I'm bringing them anyway, then I get to maybe try a manifestation. So I think those are pretty cool. How about this? It used to be in 3rd edition, lots of times you get your list, your 2,000 point list, and you'd end up at like 1930. And so there wasn't a unit you could bring for 70 points. But hey, you could throw an endless spell in there, use up those points for something good, and get an extra something that maybe not everybody has. Now you get them for free. So if you get to 1930, too bad, so sad.
Change your list.
Change your list. So what do you think about that?
I think now it's probably fine because most armies are most unit points are either at 0 or 5 at the end.
I would like to see something. Little minor powers that you could take that were like 20 points, 30 points, something like that. Call them minor artifacts, something, that did like once per battle abilities that were, okay. Once per battle, you, I don't know, you get an extra unbind. Yeah, something like that, right? So it's not huge. It's not super impactful. But once they're like, yeah, it's worth it. It's it would be the kind of thing you take when you only have
50
a few extra points, right? Because right now you can buy an extra command point
Oh, you
for
can?
50. Yeah.
I was about to say you could just buy an extra command point.
Yeah, in second you could, and they sort of brought that back.
Back to second edition.
Yeah, they sort of brought that back for this edition. Although it's not very good because you only get it in the first battle round.
Oh, you used to always get it.
You just didn't have to discard at the end of a battle round in second.
Yeah, you'd base it. I think that was probably the strat. Automatically just buy a command point.
Lots of people, you would build to 1950. Yeah.
So expensive. Command points were so good.
So I think that's the fact that they're not there for that purpose anymore. The manifestations aren't there for that purpose anymore. Is a little bit of a drag because there's been several times I've made my list and I'm at 1930. And there's literally nothing in my army that costs 70 points or less. I literally can't get any closer to 2000 unless I want to rework this whole thing. And so it's a little bummer that that process is gone. What about manifestations on the tabletop? Because they do a couple of things. One, they can charge you and punch you, right?
Mm.
Two, they can block. So especially stuff like Ravenix or Purple Sun or anything with a big base like that, you can put it in front of an objective or whatever, and then you can't get to me.
Yep.
Right? So what do you think of that?
That seems, it does seem a little strong, but for armies like Caradron that have nothing to stop them, I just say shoot it until it dies.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that, yes, those are concerns, but I think so much of that has counterplay, right?
Yeah.
Because you can kill it with fire, right? Just attack it. Two, sometimes you can put out a endless spell, and you're like, haha, your maggot with their 4-inch move aren't going to get here anyway. But then I can charge the endless spell.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to get 8 extra inches of movement for that 8-inch charge, and it actually helped me get places, right? So that's counterplay. You've got unbinds to get them out in the first place to stop that. You've got banishes. They can't move when they've been summoned.
Nope.
And now under the new rules from the latest balance update, you can't summon them the same turn they've been banished.
Yay.
So if I use a cast to banish your spell, you can't then unleash spell and cast it right back again.
Right? You have to wait until the next battle round.
Which is good. So I think overall, I like having free manifestations. I like them, and I like that we get to use a lot of these models because in 3rd edition, other than maybe Burning Head, we just didn't bring that many.
And I didn't even use them.
Yeah, well, Drake hardly ever used them.
And when I brought them in, it was
the only other ones, when I played Tzeentch, I would do Umbral Spell Portal.
Yeah, and he always had Tome of
And then sometimes we put in Burning Head if we had 20 extra points or whatever it was, 20 or 30 points. And then that's it. That's it. You had all these cool models. And then the amount of times you brought in your faction spells,
never.
Hardly ever.
The only time you did it was with Tzeentch when you had the free.
Yeah, the free one. Well, semi-free. You still have to pay for it in points, but your battle trait was to cast it for free.
Yeah.
So if you didn't bring one, you felt like you were wasting a battle trait. So yeah, that's true. Tzeentch came in. But the amount of times we saw Daughters, just a handful. When we saw
Snake.
The snake, because it could rampage. But you just didn't see them enough. And so I think having them out there means we get to actually use those models on the table. And I'm all for that. Yeah, let's use those models. One thing I really dislike is getting models and then the rules change and they suck. And I feel like, oh man, I spent so much time and money getting them, putting them together, painting them and priming them and all that stuff just for them to sit in the box is not cool.
No.
And so getting to have more of them out, that has been really cool.
Yeah.
Other thoughts about manifestations?
Nope.
You have no further thoughts?
None.
Well, I think my last and final thought on manifestations is the one negative right now is that some manifestation lores are just straight up better than others.
Yes.
And that's most pronounced, I think, in the normal ones. Because there's Morbid Conjuration, which gives you Purple Sun, Gravetide, shackles,
Shackles.
and maelstrom. So you actually get 4 options.
What's the? Do we have the maelstrom?
Yeah, we have them all. And then there's primal energy, which gives you jaws, life swarm,
And burning head.
and burning head.
Yeah.
And then there's the other gross ones
Which give
that you don't want. They're bad. All the spells. Why would you take any of those manifestations? Because they're all bad. I think they should. Now, that's not a problem with the manifestations being free. That's not a problem with 4th edition.
That's just a problem with how they're organized.
Yeah, it's a bit of a balance problem, right? So they need to tone down those ones a little bit, and they should make them. I feel like they should sort of make them all. They should tone down the high ones and bring the bad ones up just a little. So instead of meeting in the middle, you want to meet like there.
Yeah.
And the reason
But the
is,
good ones are just a little bit gooder.
I think you should be encouraged to take your faction ones. Right? If you're Daughters of Cain, you should be bringing your Daughters one. If you're Tzeentch, you should be bringing your Tzeentch ones. You shouldn't be always going to Purple Sun because it's the best, regardless. That just means every game has Purple Suns running around, and it's not as fun. And
Unless my orcs axe them.
Yep, unless the orcs just chop them to death.
Multiple was.
So, but that's a balance question that I think they're going to fix, and based on the latest balance passes, I think they're going to be willing to tinker with them a little bit more. So that's good to see. Let us know in the comments below what you think about having free manifestations. Now that you've had a chance to play with them for a while, are they good for the game as a whole? Do you like seeing them on the table? Or do you want to throw them all into the sun and be done with these manifestations?
But when's is a purple sun?
I know, throw them all into the purple sun and be done with them.
But then you still have the purple sun.
I guess that'd be the only one left.
It's the best one.
This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Red.
Thanks so much for watching.